Hey guys, welcome back to another Planet Mithril Paints, and today we'll be showing you how to paint the creepy denizens of Moria, Moria Goblins. In 5 easy to follow stages we will provide you with a recipe that can easily be replicated across your entire Goblin army to get them battle ready in no time at all. Without further delay, please sit back, relax and enjoy the video. We want to create a really sickly, almost putrid look to our goblin skin. The features are very stretched and gaunt, and so the highlight layers will really benefit from us using a slightly more bright hue than usual in order to give that overall really authentic, orcish goblin look from the films. To start off the skin, paint the hands, face and any exposed skin with a base coat of castellan green. There are a number of exposed patches around the thighs and elbows, so make sure you catch all these areas. Apply an all-over layer with a mix of castellan green and Elysian green. This will provide a really nice natural base for the following layering and highlighting stages and give them that characteristic putrid look which is synonymous with these mountain dwellers. Once the wash is dry, relayer over with the previous Castellan Elysian mix, leaving the Athonian camo shade showing in the recesses. Focus now on framing their gaunt features. Particular areas to focus on include the brow, around the big bulbous eyes, their ears and snarling maw. Don't forget here to separate out the fingers and toes and create muscle definition across the thighs and elbows. Add more Elysian greens in the mix for the first highlight stage. We're going to be keeping our highlights tighter and neater here for an earlier stage, again, to accentuate their gaunt skeletal frame wriggling around under their skin. This will hopefully give us a truly vile looking creature that's believably spent many years in the dark depths underground. Apply an edge highlight now with pure Elysian green to the upper and most pronounced areas of skin. This is the final layer that will really pop, so take your time and make sure you apply your paint accurately. It can be time consuming as the models are so small, the details are equally as small, so make sure not to rush this application. Apply a final dot highlight with a mix of Elysian green and Zamesi desert to the absolute tips of the skin, including the nose slits, brow, chin, very tips of the ears and the knuckles gripping the spear. The eyes on a Goblin warrior take up about a third of their face overall, so painting these in can really bring a Goblin army to life. Once you're finished with the face, carefully fill in both eyes and the mouth with Abaddon Black. Now, carefully apply a dot layer to both eyes with Zamesi Desert. Be extremely careful not to bleed out onto the now finished skin. You can apply a pinpoint highlight of Dawn Yellow here now just to accentuate the eyes, but this is completely optional. Now paint in two thin vertical lines across the eyes to create the pupils. Finally, carefully dot layer all the individual teeth with Rakarth flesh. Goblin armour is notably darker than a lot of other Uruk or Orc armour in Middle-earth, and the jaggedness of the plating really benefits from stark, fine highlights to give it a real sense of sharpness. To start the armour, base coat with a mix of Iron Warriors and Abaddon Black. This will tone the metals down enough to create the characteristic darkness once the washes have been applied. Once both washes have dried, carefully apply a fine edge highlight across all the armour plating with a mix of lead belcher and pallid witch flesh. Keep a good point to your brush and keep your highlights as tight as possible to really accentuate the sharp jaggedness of the Goblin's armour. The finer you can be, the better the overall effect will be once finished. Base coat all the exposed cloth areas with a mix of corn red and rhinox hide. Areas to focus on are the upper arm sleeves and the material hanging down between their legs. The rhinox hide will tone back the red nicely and give us an earthier red to work off the following layers and highlights. Now add in some Evil Sun Scarlet to the mix for the first layer. This will lift the hue nicely and complement the overall hue of the goblin skin in a very, well, goblin-y way. Once the wash is dried, re-layer over with the previous mix, leaving the Carroburg crimson showing in the recesses. The sleeves generally don't have much definition to work with, so try and create natural flow in the material where you can. Now we want to bring up the hue by adding some Zamesi Desert to the overall corn red, rhinox hide, Evil Sun Scarlet mix. Focus now on the upper crests and fold of material to create natural ripples and flow throughout the folds. The Zamesi Desert washes out the red slightly and helps give the cloth an ill-maintained look. Finally, add more Zamesi Desert to the mix for the last highlight stage on the uppermost areas of cloth. Your mix now should be comprised of no more than 50% Zamesi Desert. Paint the gloves, spear shaft and any belts and straps around the goblin with dried bark. We're going to add an in-between layer to the gloves as they have a larger surface area and will benefit from this little attention. Apply a layer to the gloves with a mix of dried bark and baneblade brown. Finally, edge highlight all the brown areas with pure baneblade brown. This will give an aged, cracked leather look in comparison to the more natural brown like Gorthor. Draw the paint in thin lines down the shaft of the spear to give the impression of haggard wood grain. Finally, base coat all the hair and any ankle cloth on the goblin with a mix of Abaddon Black and Eshin Grey. We want a very lank, greasy look to the hair, so it's important to key in this dark tone at an early stage. Once the wash is dry, apply a layer with a mix of Abaddon Black and Eshin Grey, adding slightly more Eshin to the mix. Start picking out the individual hairs over the goblin's scalp to create texture. These don't have to be too neat here, as they're hardly poster boys for well kept hair. Finally, apply an extreme edge highlight with pure Eshin Grey to the tips and outer curls of the hair down the back and towards the scalp. There we have it, a fierce, repulsive dweller of the deep ready to pour forwards with their kin in a tide that would overwhelm even the toughest of invaders.